What is up, everyone? So today I have the 6000 lumen Sansi motion detection light. We're going to go over its price point, its features, and whether or not it's a good purchase. So let's get into this installation and see what it's all about. So before we get into the installation part of this, real quick note on what it comes with. So it comes with an inspection card, a guarantee if you have any issues, basically an instruction manual, your light, and your parts kit. So in the package you get basically a gasket to keep moisture and water out of the box for your electrical. You're given a plate right here that goes across that box that mounts this, so that way you're able to utilize this and whatever box mount you have. You have the hardware to go with it as well. And then you are given wire nuts. Typically when you're given wire nuts in a package, they're not too good. So if you could squeeze them, they're probably not that great. If they don't have any metal in them, like on the inside, they're not good at all. If you tighten them and the outside of the plastic spins, they're no good. Just take them off and put some good quality ones in. And I ran across this issue when installing the ceiling fans. I've had these wire nuts strip on me, or they just don't tighten correctly. So I definitely recommend, before installing anything electrical, you have these basic components with you in case you need to replace stuff like this. These here in particular I can't speak on because I haven't used them yet, but they look pretty decent. On the back side here you have 3 wires. This is a 110 volt. So you have your ground, your neutral, and your hot wire. So 3 rubber gasket or grommet, whatever you want to call it. It has certification labels here. So it says UL standard rating. So all the certifications are there. Now as far as electrical components are concerned, I don't know how extensive they go through to get these certified. Certain certification markings mean certain things on different products. So I'm not the expert in that, but there you go. There's some certifications on the back. So before starting, I highly recommend going over this instruction manual. I'm not one to look at instructions, but this one was super brief and well thought out. As you can see, there's a lot of illustrations, and then also there is like the briefing on what those illustrations mean. So definitely take a look at this. This is well thought out, so I applaud them for that. It's an easy read. It's not like you're trying to think about what all this stuff is doing. Give you an image and what it does. So definitely look at this before installation. So let's start with the sensor. The sensor here, you have your lux, and then you have your range over on the opposite end, and then right here you have your timer. So your lux will determine when this light will turn on. So if it's super bright outside, you would adjust that so that way it doesn't turn on in the daytime. And then when it gets to a certain darkness, then that could actually activate and then turn on the light when it picks up motion. Keep in mind, if you put this in the shade, you might have to change that dial a little bit, just because, you know, it might be dark in the shade and it's bright outside and it's activating this. So that's why that's real important. Then your time will be how long this stays on before it shuts itself off and restarts. And then your range on this side is how far this is going to project out to pick up any motion. So on the front of the sensor here, you got tests. So basically this will allow you to test it in the daytime. It'll stay on for 5 seconds, so you can see, you know, run your test on where you want the sensor and the light output. Then you have auto, which is basically gonna be determined by this, so 1 to 10 minutes on how long you want this to run for. And then you have on time. So if you want it on a switch where it just turns on, turns off, you put it on time. And then if you switch it over to D2D, that's dusk till dawn. So basically it'll stay on from dusk till dawn. So your light photo eye here that picks up motion, Actually has a rubber gasket all the way around. Okay. It's more of a plastic gasket actually, so it's not rubber. So when I actually dig my nail into it, it slides. So that's kind of weird. I don't know why they would do that. Okay. But there's two different ways to mount this. So the first way would be something like this, where you would mount it flat on a wall like that. Okay. There's a recessed groove in here, so all the way around that ball. So that way it makes adjustment from left to right real easy, up and down easy. But if you go sideways, you have to like kind of feather it in to go sideways. So that way, you know, your sensor's most likely to stay in this direction or in this orientation. Okay. Then you have your adjustments right here. Every single adjustment actually pops into like a clicking notch, so I could feel it click and then pop in. Okay, there's one screw, stainless steel screw going all the way through it, and it allows this to stay in place. Then you have a twisting motion up and down, okay, 360 degrees. Just be careful because there is a wire between this. I'll talk about that a little later. Then you have some right here as well. Just keep in mind that depending on how you orient this screw is facing up and then this screw is facing down. I wish they were consistent with both of them instead of doing it like this. I believe they done it like this just because they don't want to have to make a left and a right one. So basically they take this and they can put it over here or vice versa. So that way it cuts down on how many parts they gotta keep track of instead of having a left and a right. So then another way of mounting it would be turning these down like this, okay? And then you'd be able to, you wouldn't want your ball head to be like that because you can't adjust it down. So basically, if this was upside down like this mounted, these would be facing out. And then you would have to kind of finesse this to get it to rotate around like that. And then now you could mount it up on a roof eave, like an overhang, and then you could adjust the sensor as such, okay? So then these are facing you like this, and now your sensor's able to actuate down. So on the back side of this, as you can see, it's like an injection molded piece of plastic, and they have some potting sealant here, okay? And it's a little gummy. It's not tacky, it's just gummy. But basically what this has in it is a speaker wire, is what it looks like, because these are not, you know, 110 volts going to these LEDs, okay? So this is a speaker wire basically. So like what you have on your car or your house home theater system, same exact concept. They're wired into here, and then they jumper, and then one wire comes through here and loops around this screw here and then goes into this area. The reason why I know this is because I've taken out this screw. I wanted to adjust this to make it a little bit more stiffer, but all this screw is a plastic screw, or it's a stainless screw going into plastic, but the threading on it is a plastic type of thread, so it's able to bite into this material. I don't like that. I wish they put a nut at the bottom, just because if you over tighten that or this gets brittle over time, that's definitely going to be a failure point. And I didn't like the way they wrapped it around this little knuckle here, because it seems like if you do too much of this, it could break that wire down. That wire didn't look really stout. It was a lot more thinner than this one here. The black wire is pretty thin compared to these other wires. So keep that in mind, is if you decide you want to move this a lot, that could break down. So could these indentations over time. Especially if you live near an airport like I do, you know, the constant vibrations of the jets, I don't know how long this is gonna stay in its position, because I've actually had the spotlights where you twist them down and those end up vibrating loose with the quick adjustment knobs. So you tighten them or you can loosen them, make your adjustment, and then tighten them again. Those end up vibrating where the whole head drops. So this is the light output that I'm currently getting off of my original light. It throws it out to about right here. I'd say the distance that it spans is probably like 30 feet of a bright hot spot, and then it dies off from there. And then over here we're getting basically the light from my porch light. But so this one here just kind of throws it off all the way to here. This is what it looks like from the porch side looking out. Of course my camera's like making it a lot brighter than what it is. Let me dim it down to see what actual brightness would be. So you're probably more in the ballpark of that is what you see, and then it dies off just like that. So when the new light gets installed, you'll definitely see the difference. And then over there on that side, you can't see nothing. So over here, it's way brighter than what it actually is. So let me dim it down to actuality. So actuality, you're probably getting about like that much brightness. Just like I said, my exposure on my camera just gives off way more than what's actually showing. So this is about right. And then this is the light fixture here, just a standard light fixture with 800 lumens each. And my camera's definitely showing this a lot cleaner than what it is. You're probably, in actuality, it looks something like that as far as how bright it is and how much of this I could see. So this is approximately how it looks right now. Now I'm going to turn on the new light, and as you can see, it illuminated all the way out here. It looks a little dark, but let me brighten it up. So this is how bright it is all the way out to the curb here, from here compared to before. So that's how bright it is. It went from pitch black to lighting this whole area up pretty decently all the way to here. So you do have a major hot spot here compared to the other one. So this is a more accurate reading on the light output that this new Sansi puts out. As you can see, it projects all the way out, very bright. So this is what it looks like right now up close. It is definitely brighter than the original one. Let me tune it back so you see from where the light's outputting. It's definitely brighter. Whether or not it's 2 times or 3 times as bright, not quite sure, because I don't have something to gauge that by, just my visual. So I'd say it's at least maybe double. And so it is brighter for sure, especially in this middle area, and then it casts the light out. So we know it's brighter than the original 2 bulbs. So that's going to complete today's video on the Sansi LED light setup, the 6000 lumens. We'll just make sure and see how this holds up with the planes overhead and make sure it doesn't burn out. So we'll definitely keep an eye on the actual LEDs and make sure those don't burn out. Since it's under an overhang, it's not going to get no water in it, so I didn't put the gasket on it, just because I know there's no moisture going to get in there, and the gasket didn't fit. I showed some wiring on it. It's pretty self-explanatory. I don't want to get into that because I'm not an electrician and I'm not certified, nor do I want you to install it if you don't have the confidence to. So that's going to complete today's video on the light output of the Sansi light. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. It's greatly appreciated. If you want to see content like this and other content I'll be posting in the near future, consider subscribing. Until next time, I'll see y'all in the next one. Thanks for watching.